Video is starting. Hello. Can you see me? If you can hear me, let me know. Let me know you're there. Say hello and tell me where you're watching from. That's what I want to know. I'm joining you here from the top bedroom. I've moved again. It was a bit cold in the kitchen, to be honest, so I'm back up the stairs. And I've got a bit of a headache. There's such a lot going on up here in my head today. So I thought I'm coming on because I asked you a question. But first of all, who am I? I'm Claire and I help women who want to stop drinking alcohol. I help ambitious women who want to quit. No one's gonna pay anyone money to cut down, right? I'm here on the extreme, right? I'm maybe taking it a bit too far. You could think, oh well, I like that idea, but I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't give it up completely. I'll have a little slice of that pie. I'll just cut down. Have you not tried that? 58% of you want to cut down, right? Now, I don't want to turn you lot away because I remember I wanted to cut down. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that I wanted my husband to cut down. Hello, Sarah Jane Phelps, how you doing? So if I'm turning people away who want to cut down, that doesn't make sense, does it? But I need to be honest. I've got to challenge you and I've got to be honest. I have to tell you my disclaimer. The disclaimer is I'll help you all day long, but if you take notice, the real juice is quitting for a length of time to try life without it. Right? No one's talking about giving up forever. We're just talking about trying life without it because I want to challenge you and say, okay, that's too far. That's going too far. Things aren't that bad. We don't have to give up. I'm not an alcoholic. I just want to cut down. I just want to drink like everyone else is. If you're sitting thinking like that, that's exactly where I was thinking. That's exactly where I was. I felt now, looking back, that's when I was stuck. Because I was blaming myself. I wanted to drink all the pretty drinks off the top shelf. I wanted to have all of the things and have all the glamour that came with that. But something in my life made me look differently. When I look at that shelf now, I look straight at the bottom and you can see the value vodka. And that's where we're heading, and you might say, well, no, I'm not going to do that. This is all under control. I just want you to think of it like we're on a train and I'm asking you to contemplate getting off. You can get back on anytime you want. Because the train's just there all the time anyway. You can get on and off as many times as you want. But I'm asking you to just try life without it, to see if the things that are getting in the way improve. That's all I did. I tried life without it for long enough to notice, for long enough to feel a difference. And my first goal was 28 days. So maybe you've just done Sober October. Maybe you challenged yourself and you've come to the conclusion now because you can do that, then there's no problem. So you've gone back hard this weekend and you've remembered all the reasons why. Or you've done it and you're feeling a new spark, a bit of energy that you hadn't had before. And you're curious to think, if I feel like this now, how will I feel if I keep going? But the people around you, okay, sober October, we get it, okay, that's fair enough, but like, you're not going to keep going. Like, this is a social code that you somehow signed up to, that we will drink. Actually, wasn't there a song? We'll drink, we'll drink, we'll drink, Lily the pink, the pink, the pink. And it's almost like a belief that if you're not drinking, there must be something wrong. If you're surrounded by other people who believe that, maybe you believe that. In this concept, my 5 steps are a way to get you from stuck like Susie, you move to observe. Now, everybody here is observing already because you're here. So you start observing, and then you become bold like Bessie. And you take action. Now that might be that you sign up to my free challenge. I have a 6-day free challenge which is automated. So it's a recording from a September challenge that I did. Maybe you started the challenge and then you fell off halfway through, or life got in the way. Well, I'll put a link in the comments for you to click. Give me your email address, and then for 6 days you'll be sent an email from me with a video. And the total of all of the videos comes to like 2 hours. You can watch me in your own time. You can listen, you can watch me twice, 3 times, 4 times as I take you through the concept. And as I ask you to challenge, to question your own thoughts as to why you want this. Now it can apply to you whether you want to cut down or quit. Even if you just want to cut down, asking yourselves these questions are going to be powerful. Why do you want to cut down? Why? If it's fine and you're having a good time and nothing's getting in the way, why even bother cutting down? So what is it that you believe will change if you cut down and get to that sweet spot? Because I got there. But eventually it just turned into a flat feeling of I wasn't aiming for anything anymore. I felt like I had to be either all or nothing, and everything just felt a little bit like this. Where when I wasn't drinking, I was filled with hope and excitement, and that inner child woke up, and I just started exploring every part of myself, all the parts of my personality that I had kind of just switched off. You know, you think about when we were little girls and it was my birthday, we had to blow out the candles and we weren't allowed to say what it was because we had to keep it a secret. You know, don't tell anybody what you want. Like, that's not true. Like, I want you to explore what it is that you want. What did you want? And that's what being bold and going into that challenge in your own time, those are the conversations that I'll be exploring with you. I'll be challenging you to think back. Who did you want to be? Are you on track with your dreams and your goals and your desires? And maybe you've done Sober October, but you haven't socialized sober. So perhaps you're at this stage, which is, where is she? Elsie. She's engaging. So you might have been bold, you might do the challenge, you might do Sober October, but you've stayed at home with the curtains closed. And now you have to turn up different, you have to engage in life, like Elsie. And you have to have the difficult conversations, and you might have to start putting boundaries in place. Now if you're just cutting down, yes, you know, even if you imagine things will just be a little bit less, things won't be quite so bad. Like, even if you just got there, is that enough? Don't you deserve more than that? Where Elsie is engaging in life and she's actually finding out how she wants to spend her time and her money and her energy. She's exploring that. You know, she's looking differently at situations and she's looking for different solutions to what she's always used. And slowly, without even noticing, without any big firework display, she starts looking back and she wants to help. She wants to help other people to see what she sees now, because she remembers. So then she becomes rebalanced. And at that stage, that's when my coaching would come in and say, let's pull you along to here. Like, this is, you have to be reading the book, taking notice of what I've got on YouTube, reading my blog posts, and you'll know in your own time, okay, I'm ready to hear more. So let go of the concept of saying, okay, I'm stuck on the fence. Do I cut down? Do I quit? I definitely don't want to quit. That feels terrible. That feels awful. So no, I'm just here cutting down. I'm just here to cut down. I just want a little bit of that pie, you know. It doesn't work like that. I was stuck with that for too long. I actually got to the sweet spot that I thought I wanted to get to, because when I stopped, my husband stopped with me, and what happened was he went back after 6 weeks. In my book, I talk about it on the camping trip. It was a camping trip, and I thought we were going to be sober. I thought that was it, you know. It was great, because inside our little bubble it was fine, but when we went out and we were camping and we were with other people, it was a different level. It was a different level of uncomfortable. And he decided to drink, and I can't drag anybody with me, you know that. You can't drag anybody with you. And at that point I had to make a decision. Do I drink because he's going to, and do I then resent him? Or do I stand strong in who I am? And that's one of the chapters in my book. That goes really, really nicely with how I found some conviction with this message. It was like, you had to have that conviction. At that point I was helping Louise. Louise has learning difficulties, and just like you and me, she was drinking to feel like she could fit in. And once that landed on me, and I was helping her, I could see this in a different way, and I didn't want to fall into that. So just me reaching out and helping somebody else put my thinking on a different level, because I was then looking at things through her eyes. I was then her mentor, wasn't I? So I had a different identity for myself. This was important now, and that led me then to go and see the local council, and that's another part of my story where I went along and I made the call and said, if I had this problem and I wanted help, it isn't right for me. Where would you signpost me? Where do I go? And I went along there and I volunteered. I became a volunteer. I was offered a job there. And part of me thought that was my way out of my situation, because I had a business that I was just tired of. I felt like at that point, if somebody had offered me a job, which they did, with an income, a guaranteed income, I thought I would have snatched the hand off. And I did initially, until I woke up the next day and felt into my feelings. I didn't just get pissed and celebrate. I was feeling into my feelings and thinking, something doesn't seem right here. And I sat with my reasons again for moving on from my business. And if I was really honest, it was the being the person in between. As an agent, you don't really have any level of control. You have little control over the tenants and very little control over the landlords. You're really just a messenger. That's all you are. And that was what I didn't want. Now, the job I was offered was very similar. I was going to be supporting tenancies that were obviously in a mess. So I was going to be the go-between the tenant and the landlord. I was just going to be paid a guaranteed wage. But the same problems that I felt each day, that same frustration in the people I was dealing with, and what was in it for them, didn't seem aligned to my values of who I wanted to be and where I wanted to spend my time, which was leading me to feel like I wanted to have a drink. So until I had that level of clarity to think, no, this isn't right either, this won't be right, it'll solve one part of the problem, but the other big part, the real part of the problem will still be there. So I had to gracefully say, thank you, but no thank you. That's not the right path for me. And I went back to the drawing board and thought, well, what is it that I want to do? And I wanted to create something that I would have wanted to be part of. I didn't want to stand up and sign up and say that I was an alcoholic. I had found a brand new level of me by choosing not to drink. I was excited about my life. I felt like I could make decisions like I couldn't have before. I felt inspired and just hungry to learn. And so the name Soberholic just really spoke to me. I felt like it was something I could champion as an answer, a solution to women's main gripes, which were the lack of time, lack of energy, lack of motivation, all those things that thought, oh, what I need is a bottle of wine. Well, actually, no, it's the bottle of wine you had 3 days ago that's making you feel like this. So it's just a different way of looking at it. Instead of thinking, if I could just cut down, instead I want you to explore why. Why do you even want to do that? And then really tap into, is it the weight loss? Like, let's pretend it's weight loss. Like, let me show you this. Let me show you this visual. This is not a glass of milk. It's a glass of sugar. And this is how much sugar is in a bottle of rosé wine. Does that shock and astound you? Hi, Kathy. Does that shock you? A glass of sugar is how much sugar is in a bottle of rosé wine. So if you are thinking, and maybe you want to lose weight and that's something that's important to you, even if you replaced some of that sugar, you're not going to then start eating all the crisps and ordering a pizza. You're not going to then do that and follow that up with the sugar anyway. So can you just see the difference over even just a 1 week period? But can you also see why maybe you feel irritable and grouchy? So perhaps it's not the alcohol we're craving, maybe it's the sugar. Get a bag of bullets, a bag of sweets, and see if you can distract yourself. Distract yourself from having the first one. Because we've all been there where we've said we'll go out early. What we'll do is we'll go out early and we'll come home sharp. That's a really good idea. We'll go out at 2 o'clock and we'll come home at 6. Yes, let's do that. No, you don't. That never happens. You go out at 2 o'clock and you come home at 2 o'clock. It's just about learning and recognizing your own behavior. And I'm looking back and smiling, and I'm so pleased that I got off the train when I can still look back and smile. So let that be an inspiration to you, and whether you try life without it for a length of time and then you decide to go back. This is just a choice. This is just something different. Try something different. So if you haven't got it already, grab yourself a copy of my book. I also have a membership. So I go live and we talk about the 3 pillars of motivation, which are your health, your wealth, and your relationships. So which one of those, could you identify which one of those would you like to improve? Which one is pulling on you and grabbing your attention? And start with that. Would removing alcohol improve that area of your life? How? How would you know if it would make a difference? And how long would it take for you to notice any benefits? What are the benefits? Do you know what benefits would you look for? Would you like an improved night's sleep? Would you like to have more clarity on where you're heading in your health, your wealth, and your relationships? Would you like that? Would that appeal to you? To think in 3 months' time you could have real clarity on what you're going to do for the next 5 years of your life? Because somebody's going to sit with you whilst you go through and question what it is that you want, what it is that you really desire, what it is that you're focusing on, and who else cares, and what can you do about it? So that's it from me. Reach out. Bye from me.